How Bizarre is intended for mature, open-minded audiences only. If you are easily offended, we suggest you turn this wacky shit straight off.
Do I sound good or do I sound tinny?
Sound drunk,
Sound
Rob.
good.
Weird.
Oh, I am drunk. I've been on a... I've been cutting back on drinking, but I've also been dieting, so... Tonight, when I decided to give up on both... Ooh-wee! Okay. Is Lyle not...
He hasn't responded since we started texting tonight. He may be tired.
Yeah, he might be all crashed out. Well, that's
We're
unfortunate.
recording a bit later than we normally do, so
Sure
we're doing
are.
our darndest.
And later and later. I don't... well, let's find out. When did the last episode even come out? Did we do an episode in September? I think we did an episode in early September.
We did two, and then it's stretched.
Did we
But
do
was
two
It's
in
been a while
September?
since we chatted, for sure.
Yeah, and we'll get back to it, but it's just how it goes. But I gotta look because we're coming up on episode 150 of How Bizarre. So we are at 148. This is 149. Thank God that this isn't a special occasion. Well, we got to make the next one count. Because that means once we do 150 episodes of How Bizarre, that means we have done 500 podcasts.
Wow.
Since we started this, because we did 350 Tales from the Space Pod episodes.
Crazy.
So it's really our 500th episode. Who can say they've done 500 of anything other than poop?
I've done those.
Let me...
and I'm counting.
I'm going to grab my beer and my cigar. I'll be right back.
We do. I just kind of... Okay, yeah, grab your shit.
Yeah, I'll like 2 seconds. Jesus Christ.
What are you doing, Rob?
I completely rearranged my setup here, and it's cozy, and it's practical, and everything was set up so beautifully. But I set it up after we had done our last podcast, and obviously before we did this podcast. And there was one very key thing I did not pay attention to, and that was where my headphones cable was. And I somehow managed to thread it under and over every other fucking thing that I moved around on my desk. So to pull it free meant to undo all the niceness that was my desk.
It's keeping you on a short leash.
Oh boy, you know how the monster hates a short leash. Okay, you were about to say something though. Yeah, you wanted to do it.
Yeah, I just love to hear how you guys are doing. I miss you guys. Like, I want to know what life's been treating you to.
Well, I originally had a bit of a show planned, but it's clearly not going to happen now. So this will be the episode, I believe, is getting a little caught up on life. John Mark and I went to go see King Giz and the Liz Wiz.
Yeah.
That is a story unto itself. Shall I get into that?
Yeah, do that.
It won't be a whole to do, but it's
Let me hear your take on it.
Well, since we last spoke, well, obviously, every time John Mark is allowed to do so, he will gush over King Giz and the Liz Wiz. And
jizz over King Gizzard and the Liz Wiz, if you will.
Yes, he has jizzed over the King Giz and the Liz Wiz. And, I always knew there was something there, and I always was intrigued by the band, and definitely intrigued by the fact that a band that started in, 2010-ish, has 20, almost 30 albums under their, albums, and has gained this super diehard following. But every time I tried to get into them, and, I went straight to John Mark. I mean, he was the one that I don't know that I ever heard of this band until John Mark started talking about them. I definitely don't think I heard them, but he sent me some stuff. I was like, all right, I'll check it out. And I checked it out, and I was like, yeah, I could see me liking this. It's a lot like what you guys have both told me about Radiohead. You're like, send me, where should I start with Radiohead? which compared to King Giz, Radiohead is very easy. Like you got 8 or so albums, like key albums. I don't know how many Radiohead albums, even though I'm a big fan. It's an easier place to start, and there are very distinct eras. King Giz is like You don't know what they're going to do from one song to the next, let alone one album to the next. But they do tend to work in, wouldn't you agree, John Mark, thematic albums? Like their albums tend to be pretty cohesive as a standalone piece of art. But the next album could be completely different, like a completely different genre.
Yeah.
Not just a different sounding band, a completely different genre. So, and I like that. I like kooky bands. I like Ween. One of my favorite things about Ween was that they were multi-genre. Same with Beck, Frank Zappa. I love bands that are just experimental and they do whatever the fuck they want to do. And they're living in their own universe and they somehow have found this following. And so I kept trying, but I just never really gripped. And then John Mark sent me a record by mail, which, as I said before when we were talking about this on the program, this is the way, folks, to get someone into a band. Send them vinyl. If you got a friend that loves vinyl, send them records by mail. They will put it on the turntable. And I finally put it on the turntable, and I was working on a painting. I was like, oh, okay. And that was Polygon Wonderland.
Yeah, Polygon to Wonderland.
Yeah, and I dug it. I dug it right away. I dug the whole thing.
That was their 17th album they released in 2009,
probably
right?
Pretty close. It was ninth, maybe.
It was the fourth album of 5 released in 2017, and it was released for free. They were like, they felt bad for like making everybody buy so many records. So like, here, this is free for you guys.
There's another one.
Here's the stems. You can make your own. You can press your own vinyl.
Fucking punch
Start
card.
start your own label. Do whatever you want.
They felt bad for making people. Well, they didn't make people buy records. You can just go.
Well, right.
It.
He's just like, I just feel bad for like making like put all these records out and people have to spend money on them. And like, here's a free one.
Well, if that's true, then Christopher's guess might have been pretty close. Was it in fact the 19th album? That seems about right. Somewhere around there.
Yeah,
you're probably
right
not too
there,
far
man.
off.
Oh, God.
Anyway, so I got into him. And then he sent me another record, which I haven't had time to really dive into as much. But by the time I'd gotten through whatever, that first one, I got close enough the first time. It took me forever to even get King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard right. I think John Mark thought I was giving him shit or making fun of the band. No, I just could not remember which order what happened. So he bought me tickets to go to see King Giz at the Gorge. And this was only the second time King Giz has ever played at the Gorge, so it was a pretty big deal. It was also the last show of this entire tour, and it's like, oh, the last show of the tour, that's where you want to be. They've got their shit dialed in, but it's a party. They're going all out. They're leaving it all on the stage. And King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, and now bear in mind, they had an opening band, but King Gizzard themselves played for 3 consecutive hours, no breaks. And look, at the Ronster's age, now next year I will be 1/2 century years old. 1/2 century years old. You heard right. At this point in my age career, if I mention I'm drunk, there are very few bands that I want to see play for 3 fucking hours. Even some of my favorite bands. And then John Mark tells me that he's going to pick me up. Now, the show starts when shows usually start, like 7 or 8. John Mark tells me that he's going to pick me up at noon on Saturday. Now, the Gorge is only about 50 minutes away from Wenatchee. So I'm like, you're going to pick me up around noon? I'm like, all right, well, look, I'm gonna get day drunk. It's my birthday. I ain't driving. I don't have to deal with parking. Let's roll. So John Mark picks us up. Sarah went along with it. Originally, Maddie was going to go, but she couldn't make it. So I asked Sarah if she could go, and she was super stoked that she could go. So it was me, John Mark, your buddy, Aaron Manahan.
Yeah, I love him.
Yeah, he's great, and he's a fun. This is my 2nd or 3rd concert with him. He's a good concert buddy. You know,
it always surprises me. At first when I would see John Mark and him at concerts together, because it's like 2 very important people to me
that found themselves never really, outside of you.
Yeah, they totally. And it's like, it's weird, but comforting in a weird way. I'm always like, oh, 2 people that are great. I'm always a little like, there's like a 10%, like, I kind of wish I was there. Fuck.
Of course.
You know, like,
yeah, of course. But yeah, and they go to tons of shows. And
they do,
so
they're like the most easygoing person you're ever going to fucking meet. The nicest person.
So I was super stoked. We get out there. Both King Giz and the Gorge made a statement saying you're going to want to leave early because there is some major construction going on, the Vantage Bridge, blah, blah, blah. People that I know we have international listeners, you don't know. You probably have heard of the Gorge because it is one of the most premier venues on planet Earth. It's a very, very famous venue. But we get out there and we're definitely early, but we pull up to, and you can get into the camping area with your RVs and your tents if you're going to stay overnight or if you stayed the night before, whatever. And there's that entrance, but then we're like, well, that's not us. So we go down to the next entrance and there's a gatekeeper and we pull in and John Mark's like, what? You had some sort of like VIP or some sort of parking.
Like star parking.
Star parking pass. And John Mark's like, so where do we go we got star parking. We're here early, obviously, but where do we go? The guy was like, well, you're not in the right spot. Just go down to the next entrance, the main entrance, and get in line. And so we're like, oh, okay. And then as John Mark's turning around, he's driving, I'm like, well, that makes sense because every time I've ever been to the Gorge, I've never been this early. And I get in a line, and that line ends up being, a line of cars to get into the Gorge, ends up being in the middle lane of the road going out in front of the Gorge. And so we're like, that makes sense. Well, you know what I'm talking about? Like there's like a giant turn lane to get into the Gorge. And if you're coming from either way,
Yeah.
You don't line up necessarily as that's where the traffic gets deferred to. So I thought, oh, okay, well, maybe we're going to be first in line of that famous line. So we go back there, and John Mark, we're going in the other direction. He turns around to park as we've always seen the cars line up. And before his car even stops, this Barney fucking Fife, old timey small town sheriff looking dude in an ill-fitting cop suit, the brown one. They're always brown, these small town cops, for some reason. He was talking to some dude like right by the main entrance, and before John Mark could even put the car in park, he starts yelling, nope, keep going, nope, keep on going, keep moving unless you want to get a ticket, keep moving. Jesus, calm down, Barney. And John Mark's like, well, where do we go? The guy down at this other gate told us to come back here and get in line. Keep moving. We're like, Jesus Christ.
I don't want none of your King Gizzard wizard around these.
You ain't King Gizzarding on these lizard wizards. Just fuck, I don't get rock and roll. So we turn around. Now, adjacent to the Gorge is this amazing winery, and I guess it's like a resort kind of thing.
Cave B? Is that what it's
Cave
called?
B, yeah. It's right by the Gorge. It's like we turned around from the main gate and away from Barney Fife to, I would say, maybe like a 2-minute drive to get to the driveway to go down. It winds all the way down to Cave B. Now, I'd never been to Cave B. I'd heard about it for years and years and years. So I was excited to check it out. We finally found our way to it after thinking that we were literally driving into the Gorge at one point. We had this running joke, the Gorge! Because we kept finding ourselves on these long dead ends that literally looked like we were about to drive. Like, where the fuck even are we? But we found our way to this beautiful facility. We're like, well, shit, let's just hang out here. Let's do some high-class loitering, I think, as Aaron called it. None of us wanted to buy wine, and I think I was the only one drinking at that point. But I had this was like 1:30, 2 in the afternoon. I got a flask in my pocket because rock and roll, and it's 2 in the afternoon. So we go out to this. We use the facilities, and then meandered out to this beautiful little area, like a picnic area, surrounded by these grapes and vines and arbors. Just a beautiful fucking place. Which would be a great place to sit and have a glass of wine, had we paid for one. But we just loitered best we could, and it wasn't that busy, so it wasn't that big of a deal. Well, we sat down there, and we were just kind of chilling. We're like laughing about being yelled at by Barney Fife, and just having a good time, really. And then we started hearing.
Shows up, doesn't he?
that would have been a good
You
part of
better
the story.
find some wine, motherfucker.
I don't think we ever saw old Barney the rest of the night, honestly. I wish there was another appearance. But no, we just hung out there, and we kept waiting for someone to chase us off because we were the only ones not drinking wine. But we were just kicking back on this table, and then suddenly we heard music, and John Mark was able to recognize it, and we realized it was King Gizzard doing a sound check right over the hill, and that was super fun to hear. Maybe about 20 or 30 minutes of that off and on, and then we just kind of shot the shit. And then we had a conversation with someone else there, and they're like, "Oh, we're heading back because the main gates open at 3." And we looked at the clock; it was about 3, so we piled back in the car, drove back up. Sure enough, we went right in this time, but we went in through the star parking gate, and there was this huge long line that wasn't going anywhere, and we looked to the left, which was where all the poor folk were driving in without no fancy fucking permit, just flying past us. At one point, we were like, okay, that car was definitely behind us. They're now parked and walking with their blankets into the venue where we're still waiting to even fucking park. But whatever, it was kind of a funny. We were making fun of John Mark for paying for that extra perk. We finally get into the venue, or we think we're getting into the venue, and I'd never seen this before out in the Gorge. We were in this sort of holding area, and it was really just about 100 outhouses and a merch booth with a line, I would say maybe 800 yards. That fucking line was absurd to get to this one little, and that was it. You couldn't get in. They hadn't opened the full gates up yet. And we're like, oh, okay, whatever. We'll hang out here for a little bit. And a little bit more, and a little bit more. Finally, now remember, this is about 3 o'clock that we get in there. Finally, about 6 o'clock, they open up the gates. But this is only after that we are told. So when we got in there, there was, like I said, there's all those people in line. But we walked in, and there was a few people like getting in line in front of what was obviously a gate about to open into the actual venue. And so we wandered over. One of us asked, "Is this the line to get in?" And the person working for the Gorge at the gate said, "Yes, line up here and you'll be fine." And we were there for what? An hour, John Mark, in that line?
At least 45 minutes.
And then all of a sudden, this lady comes out with, the only thing bigger than her attitude was the megaphone, upon which she was spewing these words. She's like, "This line is an unofficial line. This is not the line to get in. If you want to get into the show, you do not want to be in this line. Move now."
Why is it so hard to get to this concert?
Well, we're like, and why is everyone treating us like we're fucking disobedient animals? We're human beings. Here to sing.
We're just trying to do the right thing.
King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Like, we're not, as I wrote in the comment about this, we're not going into fucking battle here. How about we all calm down just a little bit? Or maybe write a fucking sign. Maybe make a sign where the fuck we're supposed to go. So we're like, all right, whatever. We've been standing here for an hour. We can stand another hour in this line. But then we're like, well, where's this line? She's like, the line is over here. And then she just disappears. And so we look up, and there was a line that was already forming. But that line formed after our line formed. And they're looking at us like, well, because they're standing in front of a gate too. And we're all looking at each other like, what the fuck? So we all just kind of stand still for a little bit. And then she comes back. She doesn't say this, but it basically comes across as, what part of this line is a not real line do you not understand? Move to this line. She finally pointed to some general area. And then we all kind of merge somewhat into that other line. Now, by this point, another 1,000 or so people had meandered into this little holding area. So it's getting pretty fucking cozy and crowded in there. And we're all just confused and like making jokes about this is kind of a fucking shit show. I'm like, right? And so we did that for a little while longer. And then someone else said, yeah, none of these are lines. And we're like, wait, what? And then finally the woman came back with the bullhorn and said, this is a line right here. I said, well, there's nobody in that line. There's not even a gate there. They pulled apart this chunk of fence and moved it like a gate. and said, this is now the line. This is where you want to be. And so everyone just started flowing into that line, including people that had just parked. They didn't heed the warnings. They got there late, 4 hours late, actually, by what they recommended getting there to. They just walked right in, merged with the line, the front of the line, and walked right in. They had no idea that all of us had been in line for basically fucking 4 hours. This is the
Oregon Trail. We suffered.
And I'm like, and I said out loud, I was like, you know what? Look at all those motherfuckers. They just walked right in. They got out of their cars and they just walked right in. And I'm not even mad. That's how big of a shit show this is. Like, get it. You know what? Fucking get it. So, you think that this is it. But nay. Captain Bullhorn is not through with us yet. So we start going in, and then we start to merge with where I normally enter the gorge, the main entrance. And you see that sort of, it kind of looks like the starting gate of a horse race. And there's ticket holders, and then you move through to this open area, and then there's bag checkers and security people. Well, we had just gotten in line. Pretty big line because everyone funneled into the same little open gate there. And we thought, okay, well, at least we're in line now. The line, the official line. Then the megaphone lady was like, another line is opening up here. If you want into the venue quicker, get in the line here now. Move now. So people start running. Christ. They start running to that line, and she says, do not run.
Oh, my God.
I'm like, Jesus fucking... At one point, I actually yelled, fix your fucking shit show, and people won't fucking run. And some dude that was working there, one of the, just like, not security necessarily, but just workers standing there making sure everything... He's like, we're doing our best, sir. I'm like, are you? Is this really your best? Because I have gone to... at least somewhere between 20 and 30 shows at the Gorge since the 90s. And I have never experienced anything like this. And now, just a couple of months ago, there was a fatal shooting at the Gorge. That happened in the campground, but that was at the Gorge. So I can understand some like heightened or ramped up energy. You know what I mean? But again, like I said in the comment, I don't know why I'm referencing that. Most of you want to read it. But it's this, like, all the more reason to maintain order, create a safe space. Nothing about this was remotely fucking safe. This was tailor-made for a violent crime. And I heard several people say, that motherfucker just grabbed my tits. Or, I heard like people saying, I heard... theft, thievery happening in the skirmish. I mean, it's tailor-made for that. And it was like, none of this needed to happen. All they had to do was create signs, first of all, stick to where they told us to line up. And when we got in line, just keep to it. Because usually in the past, the bottleneck always happened in the security. But God, didn't we sail right fucking through security? I feel like one of you, was it Aaron somebody got held back.
I think Aaron had to go through a couple times, but
the rest of us, we went through like in 30 seconds, and we had to wait for Aaron. They did, whatever reason, they decided to check him, pat him down a little bit. But still, 3, maybe 5 minutes? Very quick, concerning that this was a sold out. There's like 20,000 people and cramming in, and everyone was there at that point. Everyone was showing up. It's just a fucking colossal shit show, and I couldn't fucking believe it. And it's like, again, heightened security, I can get it. I want it, actually. I don't want to get shot when I'm seeing King Giz. I want to feel safe. I get that they have to do certain things, like dump out your unopened bottle of water, so you have to spend $30 on a bottle of water inside. We all have certain expectations when we go to these kinds of things, but this thing where we're being treated like, I was thinking about you when you were in Mexico, Chris, and the guard was talking to you like, it's like, that's a border guard in Mexico. And it's like, as unnerving as it is, you can at least kind of see why, okay, this is just how they do it here. And they did actually bribe you, or not you,
They extorted us.
Extortion. Thank you. The other side of bribe. And it's
The less fun
threatening.
part.
Yeah, it's better to be on the bribe side. But we are, it's like whether we're in line to get on a fucking plane to fly to Arizona or going to see a band at a concert venue. Why are we allowing these people to treat us like we're fucking animals? Like, we wouldn't actually allow our animals to be treated this way. There's this very specific cadence and very specific tone that these fucking security people do at these venues, and it didn't ruin the experience, but they go out of their way to ruin it. Because once we were in the venue, John Mark, I'm curious if you feel the same way. I feel like once we were in the venue, the lines were great, the people were nice, everybody was friendly, the crowd
was chill once we got through security.
Plenty of porta potties. It was a great fucking night, perfect late summer weather, beautiful night, and just an amazing show. But the shit show that happened out there was like nothing I'd ever fucking seen before. And I couldn't believe that we were going to see a show. Like, this was about seeing a rock band with all of that tone, with all of that, get over here, move now, starting with the fucking second we pulled up to that goddamn venue to the second we entered the venue. I don't know what's going on, man. We got to stop allowing people to treat us this way just because they have a security badge or even a fucking police badge. Barney fucking Fife has no reason to talk to us like that any more than anyone else. We pulled up confused because, God for motherfucking bid, one of the most premier concert venues on planet Earth puts a fucking poster board with a Sharpie marker's worth of fucking signage out telling people where to fucking go. It was absurd.
And it's not like I can't believe I could see if we would have been like one of like 100 cars that had tried to do the same thing, and maybe there were, but I sure didn't see that. You know what I mean? So it was like it's not like he had to like put up with that all day long or something and was frustrated. He's just being a dick.
And he wouldn't have to put up with it anyway if there were a sign. Don't park here. Go fuck off until 3 p.m. and then come back and the gate will be open. Nothing like that anywhere. Nothing at all. So don't bother going to the Gorge early, folks.
No shit.
Because, and then we had, Joel showed up. My buddy Joel, who listens to the podcast. He decided, like, I think that day.
He bought a ticket and then he just like
$25
left at like 6:30 or 6 o'clock or something and just like showed up
right before the band took to the stage.
Just merged right into the front.
And we'd saved him a space, so I was like, no, it was fine. He was like, I got hung up at security for a little bit. And we're like, motherfucker, please.
We started this journey yesterday.
7 hours. But I do have to say, seeing that show did cement me into a next level fan of King Giz. I still got a lot of catching up to do, of course, but it was pretty awesome. They had all these different sort of sets. Like, there were no breaks. They never stopped. They just kind of like shifted some things around, and then they did this whole like 30-minute electronica set that was very Radioheady. Did a lot of prog rock type stuff, a lot of at one point, one of the singers was surfing the crowd on a little inflatable raft or something. It was great.
Yeah,
it was a fucking great show. So even with all the bullshit, it was worth it. And of course, I didn't pay for it, and I didn't have to drive or park. So I appreciate you, John Mark, for getting me that lovely birthday gift.
No problem.
So what you been up to, Chris?
I've just been working and doing the bar stuff and God, soccer. Oh my God. I think last time we talked, I told you I was coaching my kids. Oh my God. That is when I still have sparkle left in my eye. Fucking hope left to have. It is. Listen, I'm elated for my kid. He is loving this. He is a natural athlete, and this is like he lives and dies by soccer practice and going to games. But we've had 7 or 8 games now. One every Saturday, and we had a jamboree for like 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
We've lost every single one, man. It's
what kind of
it's
fucking
bad.
coach are you? Are they
Saturday
blaming you?
we lost. Last Saturday we lost 11-0. It is
Well, see,
demoralizing.
there's that high-scoring soccer game you've been waiting for, Chris. Just on the other side of the field.
And
11,
it's not
2-1.
The other side of the bribe.
I don't know if I've ever seen an 11-point soccer game.
Here's the thing. Most of these kids are so it's ages 6 to 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
All of our kids are 6. None of them have ever played soccer before, except one kid. And so you have
6
a lot
to
of teams
8's a
that with
big
kids
difference.
Yes. Well, like we fought. We took on with one team, and the kids were like noticeably a head taller.
Yeah.
And like one kid had a fucking mustache just about. I was like, you shitting me? But it's just been rough, and like we are giving it everything. I kept a piece of paper by my bedside because I would wake up thinking of soccer drills we could do, and I didn't want to forget about it. Like, we've really tried hard, and granted, we are inexperienced coaches, but it's fucking 6-year-old soccer too, so who gives a shit, right? We're there, we're present, we're doing it, but like, it's just hard. And then like some of the parents kind of just chill on the sidelines and judge what like at every practice and shit, and I'm just like, finally I walked up to one and I was like, because she clearly has played soccer, because she's like telling him stuff on the sideline and stuff, and I'm like, hey, I was like, have you played soccer? She's like, yeah, I played 10 years of it. And I'm like, what? Why aren't you coaching? She goes, oh, my kid would never listen to me. I'm like, he barely listens to me, bitch. Like, it's fucking awful.
Yeah.
It's just been a lot, but like, it's good. I'm just like the last game, the other coach came over. He's like, you guys can like put another kid in. It's fine. It's cool. I'm like, okay. This has been rough. They are like, there was one game we went up 6 fucking goals, 6-0. And our kids start celebrating. They're like, we're gonna win one. We're gonna win one. Immediately, they came back and scored like 8 goals. Boom, 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 boom. Just shut the fuck down.
Never celebrate.
No.
Never celebrate. Even after the win, never celebrate.
I was like, guys, no, don't do that.
So what's your record for the season?
0-6, I think, or something 7, right around there. It's been rough, but it's been good.
Bit of a rebuilding year.
No, this is the only year I'm ever doing.
Never gonna do it again.
Oh my fucking god! Even Ember's like, "What did we do?" And I was like, "You fucking chose this choice. We're doing it." It's just been rough. Like, oh my god, we had to get up one day at 6 a.m. to go do fucking soccer photos with the team. I get there. First off, can't find his jersey. It's gone. Like he has misplaced it. So I had to borrow it from some wayward kid after he got his photo. Logan breaks down in a fucking meltdown crying because he doesn't know what to do in photos. So he's like sobbing during his fucking soccer team photos. We have a game right after. It was just like, it's just brutal. Anyways, sorry, that's my vent, but it's been good, but fuck me. No, never again. I'll coach baseball or something, but never this.
So it's intriguing that you're waking up in the middle of the night and sweat.
Yeah, it's
cold sweat writing out drills. None of this has made you appreciate the game of soccer more, huh?
It's fine. And like, I don't know. I'm feeling a little demoralized by it right now because our kids have lost so badly. Like the fucking kids were bending it like Beckham in the last game to score goals while our kids are picking grass and fucking doing cartwheels.
See, like I said, I mean, there's a lot of growth. Any parent knows that your kid at 6 versus your kid at 8 is a completely different human being.
Totally.
They can grow like a foot.
It's been good for them. Like it's been a good thing, and I'm glad we're doing it. But fuck me, man, it's brutal.
What's the name of the team?
Diamond Dogs. It's a Ted Lasso thing.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Well, maybe Zirconian Dogs is more your speed here. If you want to, just a little rebranding.
We got 3 more weeks, and it sucks. Like I hate saying this, but I have been just like, I just gotta get through October. It's my favorite month of the year, but everything is miserable right now because it's just so busy. Like there's no fucking time, and I hate it.
That's how it always is for me because we always have the burlesque show, and everything happens in October. So when you're covering or doing events, it's just like it's the same thing. I look forward to it all year, and then we don't have autumns here anymore. Not in October anyway. We always have this, like it was 75 and sunny today, and I'm just like, I'm tired of wearing fucking summer clothes.
Yeah.
I want my tie-in vest.
That was one thing I really admired about Wenatchee when I was there. I mean, it was 15 years ago now at this point, so it wasn't quite as bad then. I don't think. I mean, I'm sure it was changing, but like you had 4 super distinct seasons. Like you knew, you fucking knew what season you were in. There was never a guess.
Yeah.
And I love that. So it's less now, huh?
Yeah, we've lost a lot of our autumn. You know, the climate change is just fucking. It's hot. I mean, it's so fucking. I swear to God, do you guys feel like? Maybe this is more of an aging thing or just something specific to me, but I feel like I've talked to other people about this. I feel like when the mercury says it's 68 degrees and there's no breeze and it's sunny, when I get out there, I feel like it's 82. Have you guys noticed that the sun, even when it's not registering as hot, it just feels hotter, like on your skin? Is that just me?
Yeah, it does.
It's a weird thing. But speaking of climate change, I literally have live hurricane footage going on, and with what's happening down in Florida. That was my segue here, because before the reason we're cramming a whole bunch of episodes into a few days, with not that the audience really needs to know that, but Chris said that he's got a couple of days window to get these episodes, including our favorite episode of the year, the Drunk Around the Halloween Campfire episode. He's like, I'm going to Florida. I'm like, wow. I don't think I said anything over the group text, but I was thinking, yeah, Christopher's looking at what's happening on the news lately in Florida, and he's like, you know, that seems like something I should go check out. Why the fuck are you going to Florida?
I'm going for my Adobe Max conference. It's in Miami Beach this year.
Okay.
And
so you have to.
I'm like, it's funny because I was like, I've never been to Florida. It's going to be fucking cool. Can't wait. We're on Miami Beach. I'm looking at photos. I'm like, I'm going to get some beach time. I started looking up weather like, I don't know, a month ago, and it's like 2,700 days of thunder showers straight. I'm like, well, I guess I won't be having as much beach time as I anticipated.
And then leading into Helene.
What'd you say?
And then leading into Helene.
Oh my God.
And now this one.
Yeah, and it's if things were different, if it was just a little different, I think this conference would be canceled. But it's impacting on what, like tomorrow,
Tampa
Thursday or something?
area.
Yeah, tomorrow it's going to start.
Tomorrow and Thursday.
It's going to be fucking nuts tomorrow afternoon.
Yeah, it'll be normal Florida by the time you get there. But I mean, but Helene was what, like last week, like 2 weeks ago? Like it just happened. So there's no guarantee that there ain't another one in the chamber.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like, I don't know what's going to happen. So we'll see.
You all remember Dollface. She lives down in Florida. And out of the blue, I heard from her. And she lives in Tampa, actually. And so she just had to pack up the cat and head somewhere else. I don't know where she went, and I haven't heard from her. But I got a few friends in Florida, and they usually don't get hit. You know, this is new for Tampa to some degree. They get residual hurricanes, of course. All of Florida does. But the way this one's landing is very unique. And you know, on one end of the spectrum, people are talking about climate change. And, of course, on the other end, they're talking about, well, the government is manipulating the weather to affect the fucking elections. I remember back in the day we talked about NOAA, or not NOAA, but HARP, yeah.
I was just thinking about HARP. That's so funny.
Yeah. And look, I was into the idea of HARP, but the more I looked into it, it's like, how was a bunch of antennas able to control the weather? And if it could, how could it possibly? But you know, of course, that was the old days. Now everything is a conspiracy theory, and we live in interesting fucking times, man, because a lot of people are actually looking at this as it's funny how they're automatically siding with this is an attempt to, once again, quote unquote, steal the election from Trump. It's like, well, if the government is controlling the weather, how do you know it's not Trump and his cronies doing it to make the after all, Trump's people are going out of their way to say that nobody is helping any of these people, that Biden is denying FEMA resources, which, of course, now we know the Republican politicians in the area are even coming forward and saying, no, FEMA's here, the National Guard's here, we're getting all kinds of help. What are you guys talking about? No, fake news.
Did your mom text you?
Fake news. No, I think my mom has wised up that unless she wants a whole bunch of bullshit thrown back at her face in the guise of facts, she's not going to bring this shit up. And you just fucking see this, the thing that, Trump didn't go on 60 Minutes. Did you see one of the main reasons? Through the official Trump camp, one of the main reasons they said that he didn't want to do that interview?
Mm-mm.
They thought that they were going to be fact-checked.
Oh, yeah, like JD Vance and the fucking that meme is my favorite. The rules were you weren't gonna fact check and looking at the camera.
How do you say that? Like, how do you even say those words through your official? I gotta be honest.
It's crazy, man.
I have really been trying to figure out what the fuck this whole Trump thing is. I mean, obviously it's cult of personality. I get that, and I get having conservative values, and I get, I'm surrounded by conservatives. I was raised by conservatives. I was raised in the church. I get how these people think, and I get what they, at least at some point, what they believed in. But it's so out of control right now that no one knows what they fucking believe in, and they're just following fucking Trump. But he's saying the craziest things that you could possibly imagine, and I'm like, there's no way that he doesn't have people there to shut this shit down. I keep asking myself, why are they letting him say these crazy things? Why are they letting him be this big of an instantly provable buffoon? And I don't know what it is, but I'm starting to feel like none of this really is about Trump in the end. I think that Trump is probably going to go away soon, and it'll be all about Vance. I'm not alone in that. And I'm not talking like a conspiracy theory necessarily, like, but let's say, these assassination attempts of late, pretty crass, pretty old timey. And ultimately the theories coming from the right are that it's the left trying to take out Trump. Pretty understandable and pretty basic theory. But if they're going to say that the FBI and the CIA and the elite and all of these amazingly powerful and incredibly high access having folks, high reaching, deep reaching people are out to get Trump, there are 100 ways you could put that guy in the ground that are like, look at that dude. No one, look, if Biden had died, and there's still time. He's not, he's still president, believe it or not. But if Biden drops dead, are any of us going to say, oh, this is bullshit, he was assassinated? No, we're going to be like, he died from being 1,000. Trump is not that much younger than Biden, and he has moments of clarity. Like, sometimes Trump really sounds at least legible. The shit that he says is never really on the level, but sometimes he sounds clear-headed. I thought he sounded pretty clear-headed in the Kamala debate. In terms of, I'm talking about physically, like his appearance, his overall sense of wellness and with itness, I thought sounded pretty good. But then you'll just see him fall fucking apart and sound like, and not answer any of the questions he's asked, and just like drift off. Well, we have the biggest golf courses in, the magazines tell us that these are the most beautiful golf courses. You know that? Have you read that? I feel like I'm going a bit. Thank you. I feel like I'm going a little bit more Godfather.
A little bit, but you got the right vein. Keep working it. I want this to be a segment.
And then they'll be like, okay, but we asked you about abortion. It's just like, where the fuck did he go? And I just feel like there is something happening with what they are allowing him to do. I can't imagine that this is... Trump has played a very important part in whatever you want to call this movement on the far right. He is not super popular with all conservatives. My dad is as conservative as you can get, and he fucking hates Trump. He thinks he's a complete fucking buffoon. Now, he'll vote for him, because what's he going to fucking vote for? Any liberal? Absolutely not. But that's, like, there's a growing backlash from a lot of conservatives. They don't like Trump. They don't understand why so many people have leaned toward this guy. And I don't know what to make of it. Like, this is nothing about this makes any fucking sense to me. Like, it made more sense when Trump was always saying things that were like, well, that's not true, but politicians lie, all politicians lie, and politicians get, what's the word? They get a pass depending on who they're talking to, and their constituents will always circle the wagons around them and try to defend what they're saying. And no, what he really meant was this. But man, you fucking Trump followers have got to be exhausted with trying to make sense of what's coming out of this dude's mouth. I don't get it anymore. Like, I got the cult of personality. I got that Trump pissed all the liberals off. That's why he was so popular with the conservatives. I mean, that's all it had to be. It catered to people who hate fucking liberals, even though Trump has been a liberal his entire fucking life. He just suddenly started speaking to these people in very broad terms, and it drove liberals crazy, and they loved that. I understood that. I understood that part of what was happening. I don't get where we're at right now because it is so fucking wacky, and everyone keeps talking about what's going to be the October surprise. At this point, it could be the November 4th fucking surprise. Who knows what's coming, but I really feel like something is going to happen. Something big's going to happen now. I don't think it's a bunch of antennas in Alaska manipulating the weather and causing... none of that theory makes sense. What do you guys think about that theory?
What that the government can control the weather?
That we're able to control the weather. What do you think?
Yeah, no,
I mean, pie in the sky.
It's horse shit.
I don't know.
I have a hard time believing that we're able to dial in. Here's the thing. Do I believe that there are people in our own government, in our own military, in some sort of global elite type thing? I don't think that there's this cohesive elite that a lot of people think there is. But there's an elite. There's an Illuminati type thing in every country, and there are, in some of these pacts and some of these coalitions, there are some joined forces. I have a hard time believing that there's this like actual cabal that's all connected, like this global government that is all working together. But I would believe that our own government would be absolutely looking into, I mean, what weapon, what way of manipulating the public would our government and military not be looking into, not researching? We knew what they were looking into 100 fucking years ago. We knew what they were looking into 50 years ago. Some of these crazy programs and some of the experiments that we're doing on their own people. So it's not that I have a moral dilemma thinking that, like, I wouldn't put it past them to be trying it. I don't think that they would be able to dial it in this specifically. And I also don't think it pans out automatically that a storm here equals less votes for this person or more votes for that person. But I guess that's modern conspiracy theories, is you don't have to finish them. Back in the day, a good conspiracy theory had a beginning, a middle, and an end, and a very concise reasoning. That's not the case anymore. These are just a bunch of fucking random half theories that really all just boil down to whatever I don't want to believe. That's fake news. That's false. You're all lying about that.
Totally.
But something that works
There's
for me.
There's not even any theory. It's just like, well, this happened and it's a bad thing, and so there must be some. It's it's the same thing when people just like, they try to. You have to come up with some explanation for something that you don't understand or doesn't fit in your worldview.
Yeah.
You just pick something. This is why, even if it doesn't make any fucking sense. Well, it's easier to believe that than it is to like believe, well, this is just shit that happens. You know what I mean? Like,
well, yeah, and anything, I mean, concerning this specific bunch of people and this specific quote unquote theory, anything to just not believe in climate change, right? They'll believe any fucking crazy space lasers. that are setting you on fire unless you're wearing blue.
And that's one of the funnier things I've seen on fucking Twitter lately, which is fucking cesspool, might I add. Don't know why I'm still looking at that shit, but it's like, I don't know. There's a certain level of information that you get, at least about.
It's your finger on the pulse.
Kind of. If you're interested in like learning about like what disinformation is being fed to people,
yeah, there you
go on Twitter.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I've really been struggling with Elon Musk lately. He's just churning out shit. Dude, I'm like, he's bro,
most giant piece of shit. But what was funny was that like Marjorie Taylor Greene, and we're all familiar with her, yes.
Yeah, of course.
She was tweeting some shit about like the government like doing weather control shit, and it's like you are the government. Like,
yeah. Well, that's the thing. It's like even Trump saying, if we don't win this election, it was stolen from us. That is such irresponsible speech to an already riled up. It's not just his followers. Like, everybody is like riled the fuck up right now. There's so much anger and so much violence just ready to spill over. And for the political leaders or potential political leaders to be using this kind of language unapologetically is so fucking irresponsible. Like I stopped talking about certain things in certain ways on this stupid little fucking podcast because I felt a responsibility. Remember when we started getting like some super weird I started getting like super weird paranoia, like mail, like actual letters in the mail, and I started realizing that some of these conspiracy theories and stuff that we might just talk about like almost for fun, or like, to blow each other's minds, like, oh, what if, it was fun at one point. And we talked pretty loosely about a lot of them in terms of like what ifs. One of the reasons I stopped doing this is because I realized these kinds of things attract a certain mindset, like a certain paranoid mind. And it's like, at one point, at a certain point, you have a responsibility to not send out signals to people that may be of a mindset that they're not quite there, or maybe they're perfectly sane, but they're this close. They're just looking for that last thing to set them over the edge, but also feeds into their paranoia, which gives them comfort and emboldens them. This is a thing that I was made very aware in our silly little podcast world, and I see it exemplified in... It's another reason why I stopped listening to Joe Rogan, even though I still think he probably has the majority of his conversations are probably great, and I would probably enjoy them. But he started.
I can't listen to him anymore.
And
I stopped listening to him years ago.
Yeah, we used to listen to him all the fucking time.
Yeah,
and it was this noticeable change where it's like, you have a huge fucking following, and the things that you say are speaking to a very, a lot of us can hear it and either agree or disagree or be like, And then there's a smaller pocket of people that are like, it's like a bullet that they put in their clip. You know what I mean? And then they go get another bullet from somebody else. And at some point, they're just ready to fucking fire that gun. And I felt like, no, I ain't going to be involved with any of that shit. In spite of some of the things that I believe, because I still believe some things that would be considered conspiracy theories. I just don't talk about them anymore. And, COVID just sent the whole thing into a new stratosphere. But it's one thing to have people in the media on any level, or entertainment on any level, talking this way. But when you have the actual people you are voting for potentially becoming the next president, saying these kinds of things, it's just a different fucking world like that.
Well, what's crazy? What's fucked up now is that you have all these people that are just like blatantly just saying things that are not true. Like, and you're like, there's a certain point where you're like, okay, are you saying that because you just believe that, and you don't realize that you're lying, but you have been fed this information and you think it's true, so you're saying that too?
Or is it calculated?
Or do you know that you're lying and you're just saying a bunch of lies because of some reason that you're doing this, right? And now I think we're to the point where people are just like outright just lying.
Yeah.
And they know they're lying.
Yeah.
And, you know what I mean? And it's not like they're mistaken. It's like, no, we know we're fucking lying to you, but we're just going to keep doing it because we have an agenda. You know, it's like, that's what it feels like.
Yeah. That's why I think these people don't even know what they believe in anymore. They certainly, they don't care about the Constitution. They don't care. They certainly don't care about the Bible in spite of standing on it every fucking, it's like, they don't care about our government, the structure of government, because Trump, especially in Project 2025, which he has done a very poor job at trying to distance himself from, wants to completely restructure the government to be less of a democracy. It's literally everything, you know. I just feel like shit is so upside down right now. And this is true of the left. I think the left is, the far left especially, is also lost and has no idea what they're actually voting for and who they're voting for, or nor do they care. We're just in this fucking cycle of, well, not that person. And I just really look forward to a time when I'm really paying attention to politics and really involved with voting, where I can put my vote on somebody that I truly believe in instead of voting against somebody. And I'll let you know if and when that happens. But anywho, didn't mean to go down a political rant there, but...
Well, 'tis the season.
Well, and watching this hurricane, whew, man, it just looks evil. I don't know why any of you motherfuckers live in, like, have you been to California? I know there are fires in California. I mean, in terms of like the weather and the kind of like the lifestyle and kind of thing, I have never been to Florida. I've been to California. I feel like it's probably kind of comparable. You got the earthquakes and the fires, I guess. But I have friends that are from Florida, and they say they'll take hurricanes and that sort of shit. Hurricanes and gators over wildfires and earthquakes any day. I don't know. Maybe it's just the monster you're used to.
Maybe.
I guess, but it's just like that. We were talking about that, Jen and I, earlier, where it's like we have the looming threat of like the big earthquake here. You know, it's going to be fucking bad when it happens. But we don't have but we don't have an earthquake season, right? It's going to be one and done.
You're right. Yeah, we don't have to deal with this every fucking year. We do have fire season, but
right, and it's like, you know, like that part of the country. It's just like every year, this shit's going to happen, and it's going to happen worse and worse and worse as time goes on, you know.
I was watching somebody on a TikTok live stream this morning who she was saying that her family, you know, they're in the mandatory evac sector, and they're not going. They're boarding up their windows, they're battening down the hatches, and they're staying, and they're getting a lot of shit on the comments like, get the fuck out of there. You're not going to be able to save your house in a Cat 4 hurricane if it hits you. It's like, what are you going to do? But then they were saying, you know, look, we're not making this decision lightly. It's like, look at the highways. They're jam-packed with cars trying to get out. You can't get on a plane. It's like all of these outlets are parking lots. I was like, that's another aspect that you don't think about, is like, how at this point do we not have better ways of getting out of the way of these hurricanes? But ultimately it does come down to getting the fuck out. And I don't know, that's a tough decision to make, man. To leave all your shit, especially if you have animals. It's hard to know what to do with them. If you're a single person living in an apartment or a little duplex, yeah, get the fuck on out of here. That's easy enough to do. But a family or, you know, animals to deal with, I don't know, that's a tough decision. What do you fucking do? It's impractical to just put them all in a thing and get them to safety when the road to safety is a fucking parking lot, and that hurricane is coming up mighty fast. It's fucking crazy. It's crazy to watch the earth when it's just doing its thing, you know. Like, we're literally just passengers on this fucking spaceship, and it can kick us off anytime it wants. And I'm looking at it, yeah, I keep thinking that it's going to hit tonight, but don't know. The radar that I'm seeing and the reports I'm looking at seems like
it's supposed to be tomorrow afternoon.
Still off into the shore, so it does seem to be slightly mellowing out, but there's no such thing as a mellow Cat 3, even if it gets all the way down there. But they think it might hit as a low Cat 4 at this point. But it was a Cat 5 whipping its way down through the Gulf.
Yeah, I've been watching this guy from, he's like some sort of meteorologist or something from Texas the last couple of days. He's got some YouTube videos on there. He's been kind of showing, like talking about the predicted path and all this stuff and explaining what's going on. And it says, supposedly, like you were saying, once it hits landfall, it should be down to like a 3, or maybe at this point, even like you were saying, a low 4. But what that does, that means that it spreads out the area of the wind impact and the storm surge of the water. So it's like it's even like it's going to be like spread across an even larger area, right? Which is what makes it so dangerous. It's fucking crazy. Some of those places are supposed to get like up to perhaps 15 feet of water surging in.
Yeah, I saw that.
Just crazy.
Fucking nuts. Bananas. Because I'm a very, very slow reader. I am almost I'm this close to finishing Needful Things by Stephen King. And the overall premise of the book, for anyone who doesn't know, is that this stranger shows up in this relatively small town, opens up a little curiosity shop, but there's very specific items and very few items, and they speak right to individual people. And then he doesn't sell them for money. He sells them in exchange for things that will get you sort of irritating other people and pivoting people against each other. And I thought it's interesting because that is where we're at right now. That is, I don't know exactly the end of the book. I have some suspicions about what's actually going on, and it seems pretty on the nose at this point in the book. But it's such a good premise because this lovely little town that had its problems, of course, like any other burg does, but was basically brought to all this death and destruction simply because someone was there pitting everybody against themselves. And it's like, that is exactly where we're at right now with our politicians, the people in the media, and what's happening on social media. This sort of tribe mentality, this my team versus your team mentality is just riling everybody up and pitting us against each other and creating problems that weren't actually there before or exasperating problems that were there and exaggerating them into a boiling point that leads to violence. And that's exactly where this fucking country is right now. I would really love to get on a plane and go to some other country and just experience life outside the United States for a while. A few countries. Just, I know I won't because I'm broke and busy, but and I don't travel. But I would love that experience. Just to see, does it feel like this everywhere? Because I don't think it does. I don't
think it does either.
In spite of us constantly saying we're number one, we're the greatest country on planet Earth, I feel like more and more the people that I communicate with that are either from other countries or are from here and they've moved to other countries, they're like, you have no idea how fucking scary the United States looks until you get out of it and you're over here looking back at it. And I think that that must look so crazy to them to see. And obviously they're only getting the shit show reel, but it's the norm is becoming the shit show reel in this giant fucking country. And I bet it does look terrifying to a lot of other places. Like, who the fuck would want to go to the United States? Who the fuck would want to live there? But I don't know. I've never experienced anything else other than Canada for a little while. And that did seem like a cleaner, safer, friendlier place. But anyway, I marathoned the first 3 Psychos. And I will always maintain Psycho 3, you can skip that one, but Psycho 2 I think is must watch. and it doesn't get nearly enough love. And it's got everything going against it. But it's got everything going against it the same way that Return to Oz had. Like, you know, a sequel to a classic fucking masterpiece film. 30 or 40 years later. In a completely different director, completely different era and vibe. But it's its own thing. But Psycho 2, I think, actually works as a sequel, where Return to Oz, to me, always felt more like a standalone movie. You know what I mean? It's like I know it's a sequel to the story of Oz, but it doesn't feel like a sequel to Wizard of Oz. Psycho 2 is absolutely a fucking sequel to Psycho, and it includes Anthony Perkins as Norman Bates, of course, but also some of the other actors and characters. And I fucking love it. Have you guys seen Psycho 2?
I don't know. I mean, I think I have, but if I have, it was a long time ago. I don't really remember it. I should watch it.
Any of you all who are fans of Psycho, I bet a lot of people don't even know there was sequels. They get that little love. But definitely watch Psycho 2. And you know, keep in mind, it must have come out in like 82 or 83. This was very much locked in the 80s. It has the stink of the early 80s all over it, but it also, I think, was a smart and fun, clever sequel. Highly, highly underrated. Nowhere near as good as the first, of course. It was a Hitchcock masterpiece. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. One of the greatest movies of all time. By any list you're going by, horror or otherwise. Psycho 3, I've now seen probably 5 times. And it's so strange. But I still enjoy elements of it. It still works for me to some degree. And I do believe there was a Psycho 4 with... Yeah, there was a Psycho 4. I'm sure I must have seen it. And it does have Perkins. Wow, 1990. Wait. Oh, that has Henry Thomas in it. He must play a young Norman Bates. That's interesting. So I remember...
Crazy.
We were talking about when I was watching... Bates Motel, and I was thinking that there was some Psycho show or Psycho spinoff or something with Henry Thomas. I guess maybe that's what I was thinking of. Anywho, you guys watching anything exciting tied to the spooky Halloween season?
I haven't been watching it. I need to get on to Agatha All Along, the Marvel witch one. I haven't watched anything good lately, honestly. I've been watching movies and playing games. What little spare time I have, and YouTube soccer tutorials.
Yeah, I don't know. I find
check out for spooky season. Check out Grotesquerie. It's actually pretty good. Like I wasn't I didn't know what I was expecting when I went into it. It was just like, let's check it out.
Yeah,
and it's become quite compelling actually.
Yeah. Right.
What's it on?
I think we're watching it on Hulu, but I think it's on like FX.
Okay. Did you guys watch Beetlejuice?
No,
haven't seen it. Haven't heard much good things about it.
It was fine. I thought it was
that's
fine.
the best I've heard about.
Yeah, I smiled and had fun a lot. I was like, oh, this is great. I didn't walk out of there thinking, I'm fucking glad they made another Beetlejuice movie. But I had fun with it. I'd watch a third one, so when it comes to streaming, I'd give it a spin.
I definitely will.
Yeah, I'll check
Tim
it out.
Burton shit for,
Well,
I just don't get to the theater very often anymore.
It's funny because it's kind of the same thing as the Psycho. It's like at this point, it's a classic movie. 35 years ago, and after all this anticipation of waiting for it, because we've been hearing about it for 10, 15 years at least. So I don't know. Maybe people went in with high expectations, but I wouldn't go into it with high expectations. But I'm definitely curious to see what they did with it. I mean, it's a Burton movie.
Yeah.
Burton story, the continuing saga. Give me some sugar, baby. I just watched the original. It's so fucking good. That's one of the most rewatchable movies too. I also have to always watch. I haven't watched Sleepy Hollow yet, but another movie that I watch usually every year is my favorite Burton Depp movie, and that is Ed Wood. It's another movie that never ever gets old for me.
I think it's pronounced Edward Scissorhands, actually. Edward.
Any of you out there, if you've never seen Ed Wood, I highly fucking recommend it. It's such a kooky movie, even if you don't know who Ed Wood was, or about Plan 9 from Outer Space or any of that kooky shit, Vampira, Bela Lugosi's last years. It's such a fucking fun, and it's fun and kooky, but it's also, kind of heavy. But I think it's Tim Burton's best movie, hands down. I don't even know what my second favorite would be. They all kind of, like, Ed Wood is way up there. So second and third, fourth, they're all probably pretty close. I guess.
Pee-wee's Big Adventure?
No, see, the funny thing about Pee-wee's Big Adventure is, well, I was obsessed with Batman. Was probably the most, like, I mean, to be of age, to be a comic book nerd, and to hear that there's a Batman movie coming, and to see what it was, that was such a tide change, because nothing was like that. It was dark, it was gruesome and funny. It kind of had the air of the old, like, Tales from the Crypt. Those old. Whoa! Did you guys hear that?
What was that?
Do you hear that? Is that coming through?
What is that? The gunshots?
No, it sounds like a slow thunder.
Is that happening where you're at, or is that something you're hearing over your mic?
I don't know. Let me take my headphones off. I don't know. Well, suddenly I'm spooked. So Batman was a hugely important film to me, but in terms of like what I don't think I've watched Batman in 20 years. And I've probably seen it maybe 10 times my whole life. Most of those were in the theater. Lyle and I went back.
I wonder
if
it
see
would
it
hold
over
up.
and over again.
I haven't watched it in a long time either, and I kind of am worried if I watch it, it's gonna shatter my illusion of how wonderful that movie is.
Yeah, it might, but I bet it's still great. I bet it's still fun.
Yeah,
the same ways that you go back to look at Star Wars and you're like, well, this is so 70s, but it also still Star Wars. All right, that's an interesting question. I definitely love Beetlejuice. I would put that in the top 5. God, maybe that's my second favorite. I love Edward Scissorhands, but I watch that maybe like once every 5, 7, 10 years. I haven't seen that all that many. What about you guys? Maybe there's something I'm spacing. Favorite Burton movie?
Oh, you've hit all the hard good ones. I haven't seen Ed Wood Scissorhands.
You haven't seen Ed Wood?
I haven't seen Ed Wood.
You should watch Ed Wood. It's a good. Yeah. It's. Oh, fucking Sleepy Hollow. That is absolutely my second favorite because that's one that I have to watch I have to watch that every October.
I need to watch that. I haven't seen it in 5 to 7 years. Guesstimate.
That I think that movie is timeless. I don't think there's any worry about that one holding up. And that tends to be true of period pieces anyway. But that's the perfect combination of Burton shit, the humor, Johnny Depp at his best, and super cute Christina Ricci, and tons of violence. It's got to be one of his most violent movies. I wonder which. I guess Sweeney Todd might be more violent. Although I was always troubled more by the Mars Attacks violence than any of the stuff in Sweeney Todd.
Yeah, Mars Attacks, man.
There's so many, right? Like, I feel like if I had them all before me, it might be more challenging. But I'm glad I pulled up Sleepy Hollow. It's funny that I forgot it for a moment. But yeah, you got homework, Chris. Watch Ed Wood. In fact, all of y'all out there, if you like Johnny Depp and Tim Burton, it's a very unique movie. There's nothing else like it. It's just got its own cadence. It's like a Frank Capra classic movie adaptation of a cross-dressing alcoholic B-movie director who was often referred to as the worst director of all time. But
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
It's so good. Well, I guess should we call that a show? I mean, we can't really do weird triv with two.
We talked for about an hour and a half almost. Well, not quite.
We got to catch up. Maybe I'll try to get Lyle to sit down with me tomorrow, and we can tag that at the end of this, because I know he'll want to let everybody know where he's at and get all caught up on that. That way, on the next show, we can just hit the ground running and go right into the spooky stuff, because I got 2 back-to-back spooky shows, and one of those is going to be Campfire. Who knows? They might both be.
Love it.
All right. Well,
it's good catching up, guys. I appreciate that.
Yeah. And sorry we missed so many months, y'all. The downloads are still continuing, so God bless you for hanging it. And I guess you just load up the app and check, and then go on to another podcast when you see, nope, I guess they're not there this time.
Well, I have some podcasts that do like quarterly, almost like fucking Hollywood Babylon has become, once every 2 months, it feels like. So I get one, it just pops up, and I'm like, oh, great, I got a new one. So I hope that's how they feel. Yeah,
I hope so too. They got lots of other stuff to listen to in the meantime, but we will probably start getting caught up on some more regular shows now that we're heading into the colder, cozier indoor months. But on that note,
do I hear Kitty on your?
Yeah, she just woke up and I guess is really hungry now. That thing where the bowl's almost empty, so if I throw 2 more kibbles in, she'll eat 1 and then go back to sleep. But I just really think you should be done with your program. All right, tune in next week, y'all. We might be talking about 9/11.
Around the campfire.
Around the campfire. What better way to do it? It's like,
what better way to reminisce
and
never forget.
Never forget.
Dude, 11-0.
Some
of the kids just look so sad.
Yeah.
And now we're like sweating, and we're like, oh man.
Well, at some point, the coach from the other team should be like, how about we work on our passing game in the backfield instead of piling it the fuck on?
No shit. Yeah. Oh my God, it was crazy. Anyway, yeah.
All right, we'll talk next week. Not sure.
Bird.
Bird. Well, you want to give everyone a quick rundown on the fun you've been having this month since we last recorded?
Oh, well, yeah. I mean, I don't know if everybody's aware of what went down the first time. 3 weeks ago? 4 weeks ago?
Yeah.
I got admitted to the hospital because I went to dialysis, and they said they go, hey, after the treatment, you're going to have to go to the hospital and go get a transfusion. You have no blood in you. And I was like, what? And so we left. I left dialysis, and I came to the hospital to get the transfusion, and they kept me because I was bleeding urine, or I was urinating blood.
Yeah.
Sorry, I got that backwards.
Both are troubling.
Bleeding urine. Damn blood, not urine. No, but so what was what they thought it was, because I have polycystic kidney. I'd say that is one because I only have one kidney. They found under a CT scan, they found 2 of those had ruptured. So what they did is they went in through my groin, up and through into my kidney, and they plugged them off with some weird kind of cool design. I mean, it's kind of like if you had a flat tire, how they plug a hole in your tire. It's the same concept, but with your, it's with body parts.
Yeah.
So they basically from the inside out, like plugged these plugs in my kidney. And then so they figured to give it a day, and they gave it a day, and I was still urinating blood. So they were like, well, okay, well, we're going to have to go up and through. So they took a camera up into the old crippler and straightened her out.
Yeah. And
got a view up in the bladder and whatnot. And I even actually asked the doctor because at 49, we're not young chickens anymore. Little spring chickens.
Nope.
And I've never had a prostate exam. I'm not sure about you, but I never had one, and I don't really want to be awake for one.
Not an official one.
Well, not, but it was consenting, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Totally consenting.
Yeah.
I asked him if he could check that stuff out, while I was asleep. And he said, yeah, no problem. We'll do that. And then so they're awesome. So they went up there, they checked everything. And because I was concerned I might have prostate cancer. So they checked everything out. Everything was fine. But then they couldn't find where the bleeding was. So anyway, so they gave me transfusions for a couple of days until I kind of leveled out at like, I believe it's 12 is what you're kind of the score you're looking for for your red blood cells. And so they sent me home, and they were going to monitor it through dialysis. And so every Tuesday when I go in for the week, they take a blood sample and I send it off. Well, apparently they send it off to Florida. And a couple of those didn't make it, obviously, because Florida was going through hurricanes and the place is wiped out.
Yeah.
So they kind of dropped the ball on it, but really didn't, And so I got overlooked, and I just kind of kept on keeping on, like you're supposed to, and kept on going to dialysis, and I was working around my mom's house trying to get stuff, ready for winterized, because my dad's passing, he died in December. So it was like a lot of organizing stuff and,
and a lot of
getting
work.
rid of his he was kind of a hoarder. So we got piles of stuff going on. And, so that's what I was doing the whole time. And I would get a little loopy. My mom would catch it. She would you were fucking, rambling on quite a bit. I'm like, yeah, well, I don't know what to tell you. It was the fact I didn't have
I'm
any
just
blood.
God made me.
I was getting all fucking lightheaded, and I didn't know about it. And so, okay, and then so that went on. I got sent home for like 2 weeks. So 2 weeks, no treatments, besides dialysis. And I knew something was wrong. Just this last week, because today's Monday. I was admitted Sunday, so I've only been here for like a day or two. This would be the second day, but I felt like something was wrong on Thursday because it's my dialysis day. So I went to afterwards. I left there and went to the clinic, and the clinic was closed. So I'm like, oh fuck, and I'm feeling really lightheaded. I don't know what's wrong. But I got a good idea what's wrong, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I was like, well, shit, this sucks. I just try to get to my car and go home, and so I did, and I just passed out. And I went, let's see, I guess it was Saturday. No, it was Sunday. I came here, I guess, was the next stop, just to be done with it. I was like, I got to get this done with, because sadly to say, and this is, you might find this humorous, but Wednesday, in 2 days from now, is the very opening season of Steelhead, first in like 9 years up the Methow Valley. So, I was bummed out for that, but like I got bummed out even worse today. Is we're talking about things. I have a really bad, my leg swelled up really bad, and got some weird infection in it. And yesterday we took basically a ultrasound of the leg, because we were all concerned, me included, that it was a blood clot from when I had the stents put in my heart, and so we're all freaking out. There was definitely plaque, like within my arteries, but not so much in the veins. So there's no blood clot, which is good. That's good news. No good blood clot is good news.
Yeah. But
the artery thing, that's a whole different ballgame. That's where they found the stuff in my heart, where they chiseled it out. So, I mean, it's embedded. It's definitely in my body. Swelling came down quite a bit. My knee was almost the size of a grapefruit.
Damn.
And the rest was really, really swollen. I'll take a picture and send it to you.
Yeah.
You'll be grossed out. It's pretty nasty.
Appreciate you sending that.
Well, so we're ramping up. We got the leg issues done, hopefully addressed. I still have the issue that I'm still peeing blood. A little go of it where it lightened up a little bit, but it's like crimson, almost black blood.
Yikes.
And then it kind kind of goes to, you can see a little bit like urine color in it.
Mm-hmm.
And then it kind of lightens up, to just like urine, but then it's definitely blood.
Yeah.
So today, and this is just as it is, expected today, is that I'm supposed to get another bag of, maybe another bag of blood, because I'm right at that point. 7 is where they consider you. If anything under 7, they consider you that you need some transfusion, some blood.
Mm-hmm.
When they found me Sunday, I was at 5.
Damn.
So imagine that. I mean, that's under.
You probably wouldn't have made it another night if you didn't get your ass in there.
Oh God, no! I would have bled out to death.
Yeah.
Bled internally to death, as gas.
Jesus.
You know how the emergency roundabout is. I parked my car like in the handicap spot. I got out of it, and you know how they have that like trailer outside the roundabout.
Yeah.
I that's where I made it to, as far as I made it. Dude, I was yelling on top of my lungs, "Assistance! I need assistance!"
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding, because I could see visually that they just got in to the ambulance just showed up, but it had somebody in it, and then there was just people outside the place, and I was like, I'm just screaming, "I need assistance!" And I made it to those stairs, to that trailer, and I sat down. I'm passing out. I'm going down. And luckily, the security guard seen me and got me a wheelchair and wheeled me in. But damn, if there's nobody there, it would have been a sad sight.
So, how many transfusions have you had at this point?
I've had 3 now, and that's since yesterday. So today they were talking. I talked to one of the doctors, and he is a urologist, but he's not my urologist. You know what I mean? He's part of the team, but he's not part of my team.
He's not urologist.
Yeah, he's not my urologist.
Someone else's ologist.
Somebody else's. And he came in, and nice guy, a nice enough guy. He described something on the lines of that he was more worried of 2 factors. He said there's 2 factors of your problem. He goes, one of the factors is that you're losing blood. So you're urinating it. You're obviously losing blood, but you are not producing enough blood to keep up, with what's going on with it.
Yeah.
And what he was telling me is that like your kidney has a function in it, and it's basically like a fight or flight system, where when you're low on your blood levels, when it dipped down like low, it's supposed to trigger off snap electricity to your bone marrow to kick it in its ass and start developing red blood cells. And that's a kidney function. That's something your kidneys do. And he's thinking that mine is completely dead. And, which is false, because, I'm producing urine. If producing urine, your kidneys working to some functionality. It's not completely dead. His solution was to go up and basically cut off the blood flow up above the kidney to kill it. And then that would stop the bleeding, he's thinking. And then throughout the bone marrow deal is like, there is a drug that you could take. I'm sure they probably do it in dialysis, but it's to kind of kick your bone marrow to fast start on creating blood cells to, so that way you're at least even, you're kilter, so. I don't think I like that idea. I want a 3rd opinion, maybe a 4th.
Yeah, I mean, killing the kidney seems extreme, but
it seems super extreme.
What the fuck do I know? I reached out to my aunt, who's of course a dialysis head nurse. She wasn't following that either, but without having heard exactly word for word what the doctor told you, she couldn't really weigh in. But
right,
yeah, it's something you definitely want to have a clear understanding of.
Well, yeah, and then I had to explain it to my mom too, and she's like bawling. It's like fuck,
yeah.
But and I don't think that's the logical path. I think the logical path is actually to find out where I'm bleeding from, because I do have issues. I have that hydrocele that's like right next door, And when I cough real hard, it pulls in that direction, like my bladder area. So, I mean, I could be bleeding from there and they wouldn't even know it. You know what I mean? Or somewhere in that area.
It's wild to me that they can't figure out where you're bleeding from.
Oh, I don't know. I don't understand it. They did a CT scan on me. They did a CT scan on me yesterday in the machine, and with the dye and everything, and they couldn't find any place I was leaking blood from.
Do they think you're going to have to get another transfusion?
I probably will by the end of the day. See, I haven't even seen a doctor today. It's already almost 2:00, and I haven't even seen anybody. But if I could tell by the orders that are putting in what they're going to do. So the orders are put in that I'm not supposed to eat or drink anything past midnight. You know, you can't feed the gremlin. Mm-hmm. You know, so that means they're going to do a major surgery of some kind.
Yeah,
like they're going to put me out and do something. They don't want you, you know, crap in the bed
right
under the surgery table. That's why they cut you off on fluids and like in food and stuff like that. Like midnight's it, and then usually they'll go in afterwards and do a surgery. And I haven't talked to like anybody, so I'm not sure if that's like trying to get consent to kill the kidney, you know, to tie off the blood flow above the kidney to get it to stop, or if that means going in and just looking around. I don't mind if they go around and look around, poke around and shit.
But they've already done that, right?
Technically, but not. The doctor said he didn't really go up inside the kidney, you know, when he took the scope up through there and looked. He just kind of like flushed the whole bladder system, and then like, you know, I guess arc angled the camera, so it like did like kind of like a half spherical, so they could kind of like see what's going on, but he never like forced it up into the kidney to see if there could, you know, cause it to bleed. Yeah, you know. But my main urologist is probably one of the best in town, and he says no, I wouldn't risk taking that kidney out, because he took my other kidney out. He goes, "You did not heal well from that, dude. You did. I'm lucky to see you here, dude." Yeah. He thought I was gonna croak just by the healing from what they did.
Right. So he's telling you not to do this.
Exactly. So, no, not to remove it.
Yeah.
You know, because it's all fucking shoots and ladders. You know, rolling the dice and find out what fucking, you know, works. There's no set, you know, nobody's set and built the same way, you know, so it's just like, I think half the time they're guessing, you know, with the dialysis. So
yeah. Well, we should wrap it up here so I can get editing with this, but thanks for the update, and I guess keep us posted. Sounds like you're definitely going to be there another night.
That too, but like I'm still here. They're not letting me go. I was expecting to maybe get let go and maybe have a chance to go fishing, but
yeah,
my priorities are pretty fucked, right?
Well, hopefully it'll cut you loose soon enough to get some fishing in.
Yeah, that's the end. It ends in October, so.
Well, shit, hang in there. I mean, I just wish I had. Of course, I can offer nothing more than that.
Yeah.
Jesus. Well, thanks for the update, and I know a lot of people listening have been wondering what's up, and especially after missing a month, we haven't really dropped in at all. But that's officially the Catchup episode. So
I've been keeping it kind of off of Facebook too. I mean, the first John and stint I put on there, but like this one, I don't even know if I will.
Yeah.
You know, it's just I don't mind the well wishes and stuff, but like it just gets kind of. You know, it's one of those deals. I'm not looking for sympathy. It's just, it is what it is. But
yeah,
and like I said, I don't mind the well wishes, but I don't want to make it part of my, you know, well, this is Lyle. He's all fucked up in the hospital.
Right.
Give him a like, you know.
Yeah. Give him a like and a follow.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, let us know what you hear as soon as you hear.
All right. Sounds good, brother.
Hopefully talk to you soon.
All right, man.
All right. Bye. Keep moving.